is Honorable Wesley Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to all the people who have done the presentation. I firstly want to also just give my condolences and the condolences of Mkhonto Wesley to the ANC and to the family of Nathi Mthethwa, former minister and current ambassador to France. We want to give our condolences to him and to Honorable DG Dango as well. We want to give our sincerest condolences to you. I want to start by greeting you all, as I always do, in the name of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and in the language of the First Nation Khoisan Aboriginal people, the Khoisan. I say Kaites, and well done for all the inputs that we've had today. Thank you. It was very clear. I think, Mr. Chair, we want to say that our duty is not just a moral one, it's a constitutional one. If you look at Section 198 of our Constitution, it mandates that South Africa's foreign policy be rooted in peace, justice, and international law, and give stewardship over fiscal issues, budgets, and assets as an entrustment to us by South African taxpayer and our voters. So we have a responsibility fiscally and a fiduciary responsibility as members of parliament to look at the finances and to look at this from a perspective of accountability to the voters and to the taxpayers, Mr. Chair. So I'm going to put on my appropriations and finance hat for this one, because this is an international relations issue, and the international relations impact that we have gets measured by how well we do diligently with our international relations and with our budget. And without managing our budget correctly, we are again not going to be able to achieve our targets. And right now, the department is failing. It's got a fail mark in terms of metrics. And especially in this last year, if you take what the AGSA has just reported. According to the AGSA, the 2024-25 annual report, the Dirco has regressed from 3 consecutive unqualified audits to a qualified audit opinion, primarily yes due to a chaotic and incomplete asset register. And this for me is unacceptable, because this is something we have raised in this committee before. So my question is going to be throughout my presentation on the different issues that are in this budget. It's going to be, are we just a rubber stamp, and everything that we say before doesn't get implemented? Does the Dirco actually listen to what we say? And here I want to talk to currency fluctuations as well, Mr. Chief. We have had such a problem with currency fluctuations. We're now at 29 million rand in the hole, and it's going to get worse, especially with the markets fluctuating around the world. And we have warned about currency fluctuations to Dirco in these committees. And that's what I mean by every time we say something, even if we're from the opposition, we say it in the best interest of the country, not in the best interest of ourselves, just to be nasty. So what we want to do, Mr. Chair, is we want to say, is our inputs being taken seriously? For instance, there's 112.9 million rand in understated assets and 983.6 million in unverified items. These are all things that we saw at China when we were there. We saw assets standing up to the roof, like whole storage facilities, half the embassy taken over by stuff which has not been allocated and which is unverified and which belongs to this department. It's Public Works on one side, Home Affairs on one side, SANDF on one side. It's a total mess. And the condition of our structures is completely deplorable. The Auditor General also flagged persistent procurement violations, Mr. Chief, Mr. Chair, which is a problem for me. How can we consistently have procurement violations? Because that means procurement brackets and safeguards are being violated, and people are obviously sending stuff to their own friends, their own families, and doing things just like they're willy-nilly without any accountability or consequence management. We are not running a spaza shop as a government in South Africa. Well, the current GNU is, but we don't want to do that as MK, Mr. Chair. In the Auditor General's own words on slide number 3, it says the audit committee was shocked when the outcome was presented on 30th July 2025, mainly because there had been no red flags throughout the year or during our meetings. Clearly, something has gone wrong in this past year, especially with the Dirco being taken over by GNU. It seems that there's a paralysis, and I can understand why there is a paralysis, because we've got 2 different governments and 2 different policies. Even our foreign policies is different between the DA and the ANC, and we're not getting anywhere. It's completely bringing this department to a halt. And this we cannot accept, Mr. Chair. Of the many issues, the most alarming are the ICT-related issues, which imply a severe national security risk to our sovereign data from hackers and breaches which have occurred. This is the worst violation, must be dealt with this week, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the DG for the presentation on ICT, on dimension data, and on the fact that they're 99% there. For me, that's not good enough. We're coming there to our Tambo building at the headquarters next week for an oversight visit. I want dimension data there. I want them to explain to us why those breaches happened. Because I can tell you, this happened in Sandton to a white monopoly capital company. They would have gone there and fixed it that same day. Now I want to see by next week if this stuff is fixed, Mr. Chair. All of the AGSA's recommendations must be obeyed and implemented immediately, especially because some of these are regarding national security measures. I agree with the AGSA that an audit plan for each mission is vital. How can we not have an audit plan for each mission? When we were there, we in the ones that we even seen via video, and this is why I say we can't just do video oversights, because they can show us what they want us to see. But when we went to China, we could go throughout the place. When we went to Shanghai, we could go throughout the consulate. We could see the dilapidated buildings. We could see how we have lost reputational damage has been done to us as South Africa because of mismanagement, buildings and embassies that are falling apart, vacancies that are not filled, meaning that we don't have service delivery. This is really not acceptable. The audit committee notes that there's a 24.6% vacancy rate, including key positions at missions and severe ICT governance failures, with missions offline for most of the year and biometric systems bypassed for handwritten visas. Who does handwritten visas still, Mr. Chair? What kind of nonsense is this? No wonder there's so much corruption from the top of the government to the bottom in this GNU. The Paris mission chancery operates at 50% capacity, according to your own documents, Dirco, and to the Treasury's documents, due to structural decay. That means 50% of the embassy is going to fall apart. You can't operate in there. I mean, my mind is blown. The Bangkok mission cannot serve Cambodia or Laos due to budget constraints, while human trafficking cases are on the rise. Obviously, human trafficking cases are on the rise if we have whole areas that aren't serviced by our own visas and our own consular services in those areas. So, we got to stop this, Mr. Chair, because we are now part of the problem. And this then speaks to what's happening in the Mkonazi trials, this corruption, because human trafficking has also been mentioned in the Mandlanga Commission. It's also been mentioned there. Now, what are we to think as South Africans? We must know, is this human trafficking rise linked to the government? Is it linked to the minister? Is it linked to the ministers responsible for this? And is the hollowing out of our government departments, of SANDF, of Dirco, is it a thing that's done on purpose to weaken our government while their criminal enterprises thrive? Is that what's happening in South Africa, Mr. Chair? Because that seems to be what is happening. Dirco's budget execution is distorted by austerity measures linked to IMF conditionalities, forcing harmful virements such as 32 million rand from Program 1 to Program 4 and 53 million diverted to G20 hosting. No rollovers were requested, but obligations were deferred into 2025-2026, masking underperformance. Now, Mr. Chair, other MPs and other parties may not be interested in the figures, but I'm interested in the figures. And this is nonsense. They're lying to us by putting stuff in front of us that's not actually happening. Missions are collapsing under resource starvation while South Africa attempts to project global influence. But how can we do global influence if we have hollowed out the capacity of our people to do economic diplomacy on behalf of the poor? And that G20, we're giving them funds, we're giving them money, but there's no cost-benefit analysis. There's no proof that this is actually going to help us. There's no proof that this is helping the rural communities, helping small black businesses, helping businesses in the colored communities, in the Cape communities. It's not lowering, it's lowering the crime for only when the G20 people is there, and then the crime goes back up. That's not how we should be running our country, Mr. Chair. So, by contrast, the African Renaissance Fund achieved its 8th consecutive clean audit and continues to deliver critical humanitarian interventions, including aid to 538 SADR families in Tundorf and election support in 5 SADC states. Yet even here, 6 targets were missed due to concurrence delays and capacity bottlenecks. And the 50% that's not been spent on humanitarian aid. Mr. Chair, I want to also raise another issue here. Why can't we support the Christians that are being killed in Nigeria? Why aren't we talking about putting some of that humanitarian ARF funds aside to go and help the Nigerians who are Christians who are being slaughtered by Islamic State and ISIS and other jihadist groups on the African continent? Because nobody's talking about that. I also stand up for the freedom of Palestine and a two-state solution. I also stand up that we must stop the genocide in Palestine, but we must also equally also focus the world on the killings of Christians because of their religious beliefs on the continent of Africa. And we must make sure that we stand up against it as vehemently as we stand up for the children of Gaza. Mr. Chair, I would like to know from Dirco the following. Why was Dirco allowed asset management failures to recur despite repeated audit findings? How many officials have faced consequent managers? I saw there were 7. But there's a lot more problems going, especially since there's been procurement violations since April 2025 as well. What plan exists to reduce the vacancy rate below 10% and restore ICT functionality across missions? Because that and this is where dimension data and the process they're busy with, I really want to interrogate that, and I pray that they give us those documents well before we get there, Mr. Chair, that they don't ambush us again like they did last time when we went to the OR Tambo building, where they ambushed us with the presentations as we were sitting there. So please make sure that that doesn't happen again. What effects risk protocols are being implemented to prevent future violence from eroding program delivery? Because right now the violence is now just basically you saying, oh, this is our budget, but then you violate money from one section to another section that you've not budgeted for, and then you say, oh, we ran out of money. This is just playing accounting games with us, Mr. Chief. How are these people playing games with us, thinking that we're that stupid that we cannot see that they're playing a shell game with money? We have a problem with an austerity budget. We have a problem with austerity budget because we don't have a big enough fiscus. We don't have a big enough income because we don't have control of the land. We don't have control of the minerals. We don't control the value chains. And we don't have a refining capability to employ our people and take our people out of poverty. But the focus of this government is to keep things more of the same, status quo. And therefore, you cannot fix the problems that we hear from the AGSA because the problems need more money. That's all we've heard from everybody in this meetings today. They need more money. They need money for the vacancies. They need money for the dilapidated buildings. They need money for the economic diplomacy. They need money for us to take our delegations from here over there to get business for young people. These are things, Mr. Chair, that is a real problem and propose. It's a really bad look for us. So violence are eroding Dirco's core mandate. Tens of millions were shifted from core programs to cover forex losses and G20 hosting. So this parliament must interrogate how this affects diplomatic capacity and our capacity to do our core business as is mandated by the constitution and the laws governing Dirco. There's been a complete audit plan failure. Despite repeated commitments, mission-level audit action plans are not implemented or monitored at all. No timeline or accountability structure exists to remove the audit qualification in 2012 and 2026. So next year we'll be back here doing exactly the same thing, getting the same report, and people shrugging and saying, we don't know how we got here. No, that's nonsense. We need to see the problem, deal with the problem, and deal with the root causes, and not keep just plucking on stamps and smearing jam on our faces, South Africans, to try and tell us that things are okay. It's not okay. It's not okay because we are failing at our job. Okay, Mr. Chair. In our foreign policy, we must make sure that we look at everything that's happening around the world, Mr. Chair. And we must make sure that we make sure that we stop the killing of people, whether it's in Africa and Nigerian Christians, whether it's the children in Gaza, whether it's in Ukraine. Mr. Chair, this danger of what's happening around the world, where the unipolar world is being overtaken by a multipolar world, and those that have the power want to and have a declining power want to destroy those who have increasing power through war. This is something that's happening in the Middle East. It's something that's happening in Ukraine, and it's something that we got to stop, and we're going to make sure it doesn't happen in Africa, because this is about the declining dollar, Mr. Chair. This is about other issues that is a geopolitical problem that we have, and for NATO to threaten directly with America's backing to send long-range weapons, attack-them weapons, to destroy and reach Moscow is begging for a third world war. And that affects us as South Africans. That affects me, my children, your children. More importantly, it affects the people in NATO. I cannot understand. I've got sisters in NATO. I've got sisters that live in France. I've got sisters that live in the Netherlands. I've got sisters that live in Brussels and in Germany. And I'm worried for their safety. I'm worried they're going to get conscripted, like the Ukrainian soldiers get conscripted, kidnapped off the road, their children taken out of schools and universities and sent to the front line. That's what's going to happen to the Europeans very soon. So, Mr. Chair, to continue a war that is being lost, I say, and MK says, end the war, negotiate peace, bring out peace on both sides. Let both sides sit together and let the courts do their business and talk about restorative justice. But let the world come around and say, okay, enough is enough. Let's work out a peace plan that incorporates all of us. It must be UN-led, not led by one party or another. Otherwise, this 20-point plan that America's come up with, it's an Anglo-American-led plan. And that's just another continuation of colonialism like we have had here in South Africa. We literally have a company called Anglo-American that's exploited our resources for the last 100 years. So, Mr. Chair, from our side as MK, we need to look at the figures, we need to address the problems and structural issues that we have in the economy and the structural issues that we have in Dirco. And right now, the currency fluctuations and the political rot that we have in this department is a lot for us to deal with. Thank you, Mr. Chair.